Arkansas cable providers are connecting our state to the world. Through our state-of-the-art broadband networks, educators, healthcare providers, emergency responders, law enforcement personnel, and consumers have access to the information superhighway like never before, many times at greatly reduced costs. That's our commitment to making Arkansas a leader in the digital age. Arkansas cable providers are indeed connecting our state to the world, and we're just getting started.
This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program. The big story this week in both business and politics involved the conviction of former state treasurer Martha Shoffner. Federal prosecutors charged Shoffner with 14 counts of extortion and bribery for her role in receiving $36,000 from a bond broker named Steele Stevens in exchange for his firm, St. Bernard's of Russellville, receiving millions of dollars worth of business from the treasurer's office. Testimony showed that Shoffner often overrode her staff's recommendations on the distribution of bond business from the state. Also, Stevens became a witness for the prosecution and recorded conversations with Shoffner that led to her conviction. Well, what's next for Shoffner? Channel 7's Elicia Dover now joins me to discuss. Elicia, thank you very much for being here. You were in the courtroom with the trial all week long. Kind of what was the reaction from Shoffner when the jury verdict was read, and maybe how was her mood or demeanor before then?
Sure. Well, I was in court all week, and when I wasn't looking down at my notepad, I was always keeping my eye on her to kind of see her reaction and her mood to certain testimony. It almost seems as if she wasn't expecting this at all. As a matter of fact, her staff testified she didn't expect any of this to come. Now, before the verdict was read, we were sitting outside of the courtroom. It was actually a very small group of people. It was myself, one other reporter, and a couple of members of her defense team. She was being very candid. She seemed in really high spirits. She was joking about her love for Joe Pesci movies. She was passing out crackers to the press. She was in very high spirits. And then, of course, the judge came out and said that he had asked them if they wanted dinner or if they were ready to leave. They said, "We're about to take a vote." And shortly after that, there was a verdict. And that's when, of course, the guilty verdicts were read, and her demeanor changed completely. She broke down and cried, which I think was a surprise to all of us.
Almost a total 180-degree shift there.
Yes.
So let's talk about what comes next for her. There's still a sentencing hearing that will come up, and she faces a pretty potentially long sentence. Tell me what she has in store there.
That's right. The judge decided not to sentence her for this particular counts until they hear the other counts, which we'll get to in a minute. But right now it looks like she's facing counts 1 through 6, which is extortion. And that carries a penalty of up to not more than 20 years in prison in a federal bureau of prison. Now, of course, with the other counts, attempted extortion and bribery, there's all kinds of formulas that prosecutors come up with to try to figure out her sentence. What we have seemed to find out from some of our sources is that it looks like she's facing no more than 6 to 7 years in prison.
All right, we got about 60 seconds left, so let's talk about, there is one more trial that she's facing on some other charges. Give our viewers a little bit of description of what that will entail.
That's right. That's 10 counts of mail fraud, and even there she's facing possibly stiff fines. That, of course, goes back to her election account, and prosecutors even made a great case for that, but they had to tell the jury not to try her on those particular counts, not to convict her, just to use that as a relationship builder between her and Steele Stevens. So, of course, the state has a big case to bring against her still against that.
All right. Great stuff. Great reporting all week there. Elicia Dover, thank you very much for your insights.